All right, today we're going to break down a really interesting strategy for creating online content that can earn a ton of money. It's called the Whiteboard Finance Blueprint. It's a fascinating model, so let's just dive right in.
Okay, let's start with the number that gets everybody's attention. According to the source material we're looking at, channels that use this exact blueprint are potentially pulling in between $3,000 and $9,000 a month. Yeah, that's a pretty serious income, especially from a process that's built to be as efficient as possible.
So that brings us to the big question, right? How is that even possible? Especially for what they call faceless channels, the ones where you never actually see the person who's making the content. Well, the blueprint lays out a method that is surprisingly simple and super specific. So it all starts with the angle. And the angle isn't about reinventing the wheel. Not at all. The goal is actually to perfect a model that's already proven to work. The core idea is simple: clone success. The strategy is incredibly direct. This isn't about coming up with some brand new, totally unique idea. Nope. It's all about finding out what's already going viral in the finance world and then just replicating that format using a very specific visual style, the good old stick figure whiteboard animation. So if cloning success is the what, then the toolkit is the how. And this is where automation and efficiency really kick into high gear, letting people create content on a massive, massive scale. The whole workflow is basically just 3 steps. First, you use a tool like GenSpark, which sounds like some kind of AI writer, to pump out compelling scripts on topics that are already trending. Second, you apply that signature stick figure whiteboard template to give it that distinct look. And third, you use an extension, something called AutoISC, that automates the whole video creation process so you can generate these things in bulk. The entire system is just designed for speed and volume. And this is why it's so appealing. First, you don't have to show your face on camera, which, is a huge barrier for a lot of people. The process is also built for massive scale, so you can just churn out content consistently. And it's perfectly tailored for platforms like YouTube and TikTok, where this kind of short, snappy, educational content absolutely crushes it. But look, having a system is one thing. Understanding why it actually connects with people, why they watch it, that's a whole other level. And this is where a really interesting psychological principle comes into play. The secret ingredient here is something the blueprint calls the whiteboard effect. And the theory behind it is actually pretty simple, but really powerful. We're basically wired from a young age to pay attention to this style. I mean, think about it, right? For most of us, the image of a teacher at a whiteboard explaining a new idea is a core memory from school. This style taps right into that feeling of nostalgia. It creates this immediate sense of authority and makes the information feel, well, educational and trustworthy. Okay, so we've covered the angle, the tools, and the psychology. Let's pull it all together now for a quick summary of the entire blueprint. So here it is in a nutshell. The angle: clone what's already working. The tools: GenSpark and AutoISC to automate the scripts and the video creation. The method: pump out faceless whiteboard-style videos in bulk. And the psychology behind it all: tapping into that whiteboard effect to grab people's attention and build instant trust. And this whole thing leaves us with a really big, thought-provoking question. As automation gets more and more powerful, is this kind of strategy, just cloning successful formats at a huge scale, is that the future of the creator economy? Or are we just heading toward a future that's filled with a bunch of unoriginal, cookie-cutter content? It's a fascinating look at where psychology, technology, and creativity are all crashing into each other right now.